What is going on, Clippers fans? Welcome to Season 3, Episode 60 of Clips and Dip. I am Chuck Mockler, joined by Adam Osland and William Updike. We're coming at you live from youtube.com/@ClippersPodcast or wherever you listen to pods. But if you want the full experience, check us out over on YouTube. It's a very fun time. Today, we're talking the Clippers winning a bunch of games and it remaining the 7th seed, and then previewing the Spurs versus Rockets back to back. Before we get into all of that, it's a beautiful day in Los Angeles this Sunday. Adam, Will, how the hell are we feeling after seeing Kawhi Leonard play his first back-to-back in over a calendar year? Will, we'll start with you.
I'm feeling good. I know that the fan reaction to this one, I was actually kind of surprised how mixed some of the reaction is. And obviously, I understand the concern, given the history, Kawhi not having a healthy postseason in 4 straight years. I think what we've talked about on this show, or like what we've come to the conclusion is really all we can do is trust Kawhi and trust his team as well as the medical staff, because there just doesn't seem to be any real like recipe or like perfect sort of like scenario that you can conjure to make sure that there's like this swelling, this recurring issue isn't going to flare up again. So I certainly understand people's concern on the basis of, he hasn't been playing back-to-back so long. Why go ahead and start now? At the same time, they're looking ahead to the playoffs. We've heard them basically after every game now talk about how they're approaching this now with a playoff mentality. Every game means something. Every win means something. And if they are fortunate enough to get out of the first round, they're going to be playing every other night. And at playoff, that's the same thing as playing back to back. So I think that the medical staff as well as Kawhi and all those aforementioned teams being on the same page and that they believe he's ready to do this, albeit with a slight minutes restriction. I still think that that's a great move forward, and not to invalidate anyone's concerns, but I guess I'll just end by saying we don't know, period. We don't know how the knee and the swelling is going to react, period. So I think it's all right to have your concerns, but let's not get too up in arms about it.
And I think Kawhi did a good job to invalidate some of the concerns last night too, just with how well he played. I like your point about like every other day in the playoffs is harder than a back-to-back in the regular season. Adam, how are you feeling?
Feel pretty good. Kawhi looked. It's funny because he got to catch a rhythm from the night before. He played much better the second night of the back-to-back. He was sharper. He was more in tune. So it kind of gives you a glimpse into a different version of Kawhi Leonard and just how good he can be if he could play more consistently out there. Now with the minutes restriction obviously being on there last night, but being off overall over the last month or so, he looked strong. He looked assertive. His defense has been awesome the last 10 games or so. So, I always worry, like, does he wake up and feel differently? Like, I feel better if I had a personal relationship and I could just text Kawhi and be like, hey, you feeling good after last night?
You good?
I think the real test is how he feels the next day, not that night, because when it flared up last year, it happened. It wasn't during the game. It was the next day.
Yeah, he looked phenomenal yesterday. 29, 6, and 3. Honestly, everyone except for one guy looked really good last night, which we'll get to that in a sec. Adam, I wish you too also had a personal relationship with Kawhi to the extent that you guys could just check in, see how the bodies are feeling the day after a workout or something like that.
Sup, Claw? What do you got for me?
It'd be all emojis, I feel like, with Kawhi in the group chat. But we got to see, because the Clippers go 2-0 in the back-to-back. They've won 4 in a row. They're still sitting firm at the 7th seed because every other team around them continues to win, which is annoying. But Zoo looked great last night. Nikias on Twitter did a really good thread just kind of showcasing how insane Chris Dunn played yesterday and just all the activity he was doing out there. Like, I think I'm hoping people are starting to kind of flip to the other side of like, oh, there's incredibly good reasons why Chris Dunn is out there, and not only for the rotation, but also for being able to blow up almost any action the other team is trying to initiate.
And you have the benefit of like having James Harden out there, like who can mitigate seemingly all of or the majority of Chris Dunn's sort of inadequacies on the offensive end of the floor. Harden had a phenomenal game that second game, and if that's the sort of the scoring he can bring on a consistent level in the playoffs, I mean, it really doesn't matter. Like Chris Dunn's shooting matters a lot less. Does it make things more difficult offensively to work with less space? Of course. But luckily, we have a guy who, even if Norm is having an off night, can kind of feather the nest for two other guys in the starting lineup.
Yeah.
Chris Dunn covers for him on defense. He covers for Chris Dunn on offense. It makes sense in a lot of ways, that pairing.
It's
works. The yin yang hot pot, where you get both flavors. You can get the regular and the spicy. Yeah, it's that.
Yeah, I like that. Another thing that was pointed out, LA Clippers film saw this too, and then it was backed up by another stat tweeted out by Nekias Duncan. James Harden is second in the NBA in blow-by rate this year among high-volume drivers. So people who've driven the ball at least 500 times. He is the second best at blow-by rate so far this season, which is incredible for the age and like just aside from what it's bringing to this Clippers team and how we saw it on display yesterday. Like we talked about Kawhi hitting this stride, right, with the training and everything working out. Harden is also peaking physically at kind of the perfect time right now. It's been on display more consistently this last handful of games.
Well, and he had to go to it a little bit more that last game. He could not really get threes to fall. I think it was 1 of 4. For him to still have this in the tank, especially, I mean, we were talking about it now that feels like forever ago, but it was truly just a couple weeks ago where we were wondering, like, have we asked Harden to do too much already? Like, has he been too tasked physically? Is he hitting some sort of wall that we're now not going to be able to extract what we need from him, like come playoff time? And somehow he's managed to turn another corner. Even on despite the 3-point shooting, solid efficiency last night. Great to see. Love to see it. I mean, he's always been one of those players that I've enjoyed watching him, but having him on your team is a whole nother delight.
I felt like the eye test this season says he's been quicker than last year. I didn't know the numbers there on the blow-by rate. Is he only behind SGA?
Let me double check, but I would imagine.
Because he had that hamstring injury in Brooklyn, and I always wondered, the further he gets away from that, could he actually get closer to how he looked pre-hammy injury? And he's had a ton of downhill attack this season, and the Clippers have needed all of it, especially when they didn't have Kawhi on the floor. But the last 17 games now, Harden shooting 38% from 3, and he's averaging 26 points per game. So he's at the top of his game right now.
And I think the assist to turnover has been better too, right? Not that it's been like too terrible over the whole season, but I mean, last night he was at 14-2. Like last night might have been his best passing game all year. He was surgical out there against the larger Mavs team because we saw their full crew.
His assist to turnover last 17 games still isn't great. It's a little better than 2-1. But overall, the Clippers turnovers are down. Like they are top 3 in fewest turnovers per game the last 17. I say the last 17 because they're 14-3 over that stretch. So I wanted to check how they've been playing since then. But Harden's played all 17 of those games. Kawhi's played 14 of them. Harden has been phenomenal.
Zoo, 11 for 11, 25 and 10. Seemingly light work for the big fella right now, who he's not going to win most improved player. He should. But I don't know. I wish he could. He
is the kind of guy that I think that award should go to versus
not to Cade Cunningham.
Yeah, not to a number 1 pick or even a lottery pick. It's like, you were supposed to be good. Like, kudos on you. But like, it's not the same as a guy like hitting his stride in year 7 in the league or whatever. Like, it's that's special to me. I don't know, but
there's no expectation.
Again, I'm biased and B, I realize that that's not a sexy headline, because, if you're trying to generate interest in the league from a casual observer, Ivica Zubac's probably isn't the name to do that.
That's fair. But you
unless you're
right.
trying to get in an older crowd who's constantly bemoaning that the 3-point game
Yeah.
and defense, like defense has been relegated out and the 3-point shooting has completely ruined the game. So,
and it's tough because like Zoo is like no one ever thought like we love Zoo, but like 50 plus double doubles, how many in a row? Like it's
I feel like we have
incredible.
for the last 3 seasons been saying this is finally going to be the year that Zoo averages a double double.
That's true.
So
yeah.
Not to pat ourselves on the back here too hard, but it wasn't like completely. It wasn't completely a surprise.
Could you guys guess who last year's most improved player was?
Is it someone stupid? You know what I mean? Is it someone who was drafted high?
I wasn't sure either, but I'm just saying, like,
I have no idea.
Is it that big of a deal? Like,
right.
If we're talking about, well, is it going to have enough brand recognition and star power to his name to give the most improved player to that guy? It's like we can't even remember who won it last year. So why don't you give it to the guy based on merits and forget about the whole name thing? It was Tyrese Maxey, but I wouldn't have been able to guess that.
Yeah, I wouldn't have either. And I'm also like, good pick, I guess. Oh, he did improve.
Yeah. JJ Redick spoke about this recently. Took some time out of his press conference to go after it, and he's right. It doesn't make a lot of sense just giving it to good young guys who were expected to get better and then did. Lauri Markkanen won it the year before.
Yeah. JJ Redick, whose team just dismantled the Oklahoma City Thunder.
I've been saying the Lakers are a good matchup for OKC. Or OKC's a good matchup for them, I should say.
Yeah, let me look at the standings won't change tonight unless the Rockets beat the Warriors, which we hope happens.
Rockets have been playing well. You would think the Warriors are due, but they've been due to lose a game, and they've been beating good teams.
You would think. One person who we talked about who we wanted to see have a good game yesterday, who really didn't. And again, I don't mean this in a disrespectful way. He was the only person to not shoot at least 50% last night, I don't think, which was Norm Powell. Norm Powell had 9 points. He was 4 for 13. I don't think he had any free throws. When do we push the worry switch for Norm? Because he has a bunch of clout built up, obviously, for what he did early in the season. We know he can be clutch. It's not like we've seen him fall off a cliff and not come back or anything like that. But how are we feeling?
So I think for Norm, like what I'm watching more is the efficiency, not for him to stuff the stat line like he was earlier in the season. That just wasn't ever going to happen with Kawhi being back in the lineup full time. Like that is not that Norm wasn't great and not that he didn't improve his game and rise to the occasion, but like that was very much a circumstance of being out, like you're a main rotation player, the guy. And of course it was needed. We needed every bit of it. And he definitely stepped up to the challenge. And I appreciate that. But that wasn't something, if you were expecting him to maintain similar numbers once Kawhi returned, I don't know. I guess I've got a bridge to sell you or something because you clearly think everything just continues to go up in value. But the efficiency, I guess, is what I'd be a little bit more worried about. Can we lean on Norm heavier? Yeah, I still think he was at 13 shots last night, I believe. I think that 13 to 15 field goal attempts is realistically where he's going to be moving forward. And so to me, it's not necessarily about the overall box score. It's just what he's able to do with those 15 shots. And what was he, like 30% from the floor or whatever last night? That's not getting it done. He was 30% from the floor, 20% from three. So like that's not getting it done. But I don't know.
They still won, obviously.
I don't know that I have a huge amount of concern because, as I said, it's not just less shots either. How he's getting these shots, where he fits into the flow of the offense now, it is a lot different. You know, like we talked about this earlier, but like when Kawhi came back, he said that he was going to sort of fit around everyone else. And now the pecking order has been.
We were like, please don't do that.
Well, and now the pecking order is sort of like it's figured itself out in terms of how they're going to do things. And now, unfortunately, Norm, because he had such an extended period of time outside of the rotation, he's the one that has to fit around this. And obviously his shots are going to suffer because of that. And I think he's still trying to figure out how to get in rhythm during that.
He almost has like the Zubac thing of like, you're getting these 15 shots. What you do with them is entirely up to you, right? Like, in terms of like the shot diet, like it's going to fluctuate.
I'm not as big on efficiency when it's that low of attempts because like he makes one more shot and it goes up almost 10% because the volume just isn't there. But I think what you're looking for now is just Norm to be more like last year's Norm. Maybe somewhere in between where he was earlier this year and last year. And last year, he only attempted 10 shots per game. And he made the most of it to get to 14 points, and he shot almost 44% from the outside. This year, he's just under 16 shots per game. So I kind of agree with Will. Somewhere between 13 and 15 feels right. He is shooting over his last 11 games, and I think this is all since he's gotten healthy again, 39% from three. It's like for his standards, he's a little off, but
Right.
there is a little bit of a learning curve with Kawhi Leonard being back to this level and everybody, yes, fitting in and adjusting around him and finding where they fit in. I still have seen really good things from Norman Powell. The Cleveland game, obviously that was without Kawhi, but the Orlando game was with him, and he was 8 of 14 with 21 points and hit some huge shots in that fourth quarter. So it's been up and down a little bit, but I'm stepping back from the panic button, I guess.
And he gets a chance too, because we'll talk about this in the next segment a little bit. Like, it's not a given that Kawhi plays this next back-to-back either. You know what I mean? So there is a chance for Norm maybe to have another game where it's like, okay, we're going to look to you a little bit, get into that rhythm towards the end of the season as we kind of close this thing out. So remains to be seen. But I hope he can get on at least one heater before the end of the season.
He does seem like the type of guy where I don't want to say he's a luxury at this point with the way Kawhi is playing, but if Norm does have a hot game next to Ivica Zubac, Harden, and Kawhi playing well,
oh man,
good luck. Like they're just going to overwhelm you. They've been, again, the 17-game sample size where they're 14-3. They're second best offense over that time, like second best defense too.
And we've seen too, like teams are going to continue to double Zoo off of Dunn and stuff like that. Zoo's passing is going to be really important in the playoffs, and if he's able to find Norm is able to cash that in or something like that, it's going to be big. The two big things, one of the two big things in the playoffs are going to be is Dunn hitting his go for it shots that they're going to give him at the perimeter, and how's Zoo passing out of the double team. Like those are two. Obviously, if everything else needs to go right too, like those are pretty big things I think people will be looking at during the playoffs. The Clippers have won 4 in a row, and they're still the 7th seed. How are we feeling? How are we feeling that every other team that we need to lose continues to play great basketball?
Well, if they win their last 4, they are out of the play-in. If they win out, they won't be in the play-in. So they determine their own destiny to an extent. It doesn't mean they're going to be 4 or 5 or something. They might just be 6th, but they win the next 4, they're out. I think Adam Silver got what he wanted out of dangling this carrot. It has created a very competitive atmosphere at the end of the season. James Harden was asked about this post-game last night regarding how well they're playing and the sense of urgency. And he's like, everybody's got it right now. You have to have it. So it worked, whether or not you think it's fair or whatnot, because the teams in 9 and 10 are like 10 games back.
That's right.
But it keeps more fan bases interested, and it keeps the teams jockeying for position late into the season. I guess it curbs tanking to some extent.
Yeah. Well, how are you feeling that we just keep winning, but the other teams keep winning too?
I mean, I like that we're still in a position where we can control our own destiny to the extent that we can. You know, you can't really control what happens above you in the standings. All you can do is play who's in front of you. And I do like that, you know, even with the ups and downs, especially with how cold we came out of the gate post All-Star, we are still in a position where we can kind of determine our own destiny. Not that we can cherry pick a matchup or anything like that, but we do have the possibility to avoid the play-in if that's, where we can get locked in.
Yeah, those last 2 games are going to be incredibly stressful. What is our hype level as of April 6, 5:29 p.m. because I have been having some incredibly irrational thoughts. I tweeted it out that I was back in the Clippers hopium den, and they asked me if I wanted the same thing as last time, and I said yes. I don't see any reason how this could backfire. I am ready to get hurt again. Adam, you're smirking. How are you feeling?
It does feel a little bit too good to be true with what we're seeing.
Oh, yeah. Let's do it.
But there are just 4 games left. Is this the best they have looked? I was trying to think back of every season with Coach Lou, meaning take away the bubble season because that was difficult to read how you finish that regular season because now they're in Orlando. Who cares?
Okay.
Is this the best they've looked to end a season with Coach Lou? Like, is this the best, the most momentum they've had? I was trying to think back to 2021. People were saying then that, like, they put in Daniel Oturu to tank a game. I don't think that was necessarily the case. I thought it was already decided. I think the season
That
ended on
sucked
Sunday,
ass.
and by Friday
I
they
don't think
already
it
knew
was.
their matchup. I thought
don't
I had
know.
that at the time figured out, but regardless, maybe
He got blocked 7 times in that game. I think he set the record for one of the most.
Maybe the
That
sense
was
of
intentional.
Block.
That was intentional.
the urgency has been good for this team. It has been really good to have them have to play meaningful games late into the season. That's the hope, right? That this carries over, that they already have flipped the switch, so to speak. Kawhi looks like it.
Yeah.
So I'm
You've been
pretty
saying
hyped.
all year that it's our year. Okay. You being pretty hyped is one thing because Will's been saying it's our year all year, and it's shaping up to maybe be the Clippers' year.
That's right, man. People need to take more heat when I'm speaking. I
was right.
so much of the playoffs is just dependent on the matchups that you get. It's just that there's easier paths to a conference final or even a championship than other ones. Just ask the Lakers or the Warriors or all sorts of teams who the Heat. I feel like so many times end up with a pathway towards a conference final where it's like, okay, well, good for you guys. So a lot can still happen, but like I said, it's like I said before, like the fact that they're still in control sort of their own destiny and could potentially avoid the plan if they choose to do so, I think is great. And I don't know how much more you could hope for, knowing that Kawhi was only going to play 37 games. What will it end up being? 35 games?
Yeah, if he plays the last 4, he'll be at 38.
30. Okay.
Damn. Yeah. Fuck. 38 games. Yeah.
People didn't think, like, people thought this was going to be one of the worst teams. People thought this would be the worst team in the Pacific Division.
Yeah.
They thought it would be one of the worst teams in the West. I didn't see a lot of people preseason projecting the Clippers higher than like 11, 12. So I think what they've done here is pretty damn impressive.
And we all have said they'd be a high playing team, and lo and behold, they're a high playing team, or maybe not.
And we said 6 was their ceiling, right? Like 6 was aspirational, and maybe they end up there. But all of this was just hinging on, can Kawhi get back to who he was last season? And the last 12 games, he's getting 26 points on 57, 52, 92 splits. That's what he did for about 30 games last year to set the all-time efficiency record. So he's back, the same version of Kawhi.
Good luck, everybody else. I'm feeling irrationally confident. I'm sure this will change depending on what happens over this next back-to-back. Let us know at Clippers Pod or at Clippers Podcast what you think of the Clippers, what your hype level is at. I know a lot of people are ready to step on the Clippers rake again, and I am right there with you. My foot is hovering over the rake, waiting for it to hit me in the face. Coming up, we're doing a final back-to-back preview. The Clippers play the Spurs, then the Rockets. And then we'll be sending you on your merry way for the week. If you're listening on audio, there's going to be some ads. If you watch us at youtube.com/@ClippersPodcast, there's no ads that we choose to put in. So there's some ads, and then back-to-back talk coming up in 3, 2,
All right, welcome back into Clips and Dip. Talking about the Clippers being victorious in a back-to-back that's already over. Now we're looking ahead to another one, taking on the Spurs and then the Rockets. I mean, one of these games clearly I think is a lot more difficult, and there's probably heavier implications seeding-wise between that one. That being said, Adam, do you expect Kawhi to play through the back-to-back again? Do you think they save him for the second game with a little extra rest, or what do you expect there from the starting five?
Hold on, let me text my guy. Big Claw.
The point emoji with the thumbs up.
I think a lot of this depends on how he felt today, how he came out of this back-to-back. I would also put into the calculus, is 3 days off too many days off for him? If he doesn't play
Fair
the
question.
San Antonio game, that's 3 days off before he plays Houston. Is that?
It's so weird how often we have to talk about, is it too much rest?
Well, and to Will's last point, right? That's playoff basketball schedule. You're going every other day. Like, you might as well, like, if he reacted well today, because they don't practice today, I don't think, because it's the day after a back-to-back. I think that's illegal based on the union rules. Yeah, he's gonna, like, why not?
I mean, they should, first of all, without Kawhi, they should be able to handle San Antonio just fine. And if they don't, I'm not going to say they should have played Kawhi in this game. No, then they blew it. Like, they shouldn't need Kawhi to beat San Antonio with the state of their team right now and what they're looking forward to in their future. So if he does play, there's a real good chance he might play around 20 minutes. And do you get the same scenario then? We don't know exactly what his minutes restriction was last night because that game got out of hand.
They said 20 to 25, I think, pregame, and he played right at 25.
I was there. I didn't hear that.
Oh, really? I saw Russo tweet it.
I could be wrong. I just wonder, because I thought Law said he thinks it's somewhere between like 28 or 30 minutes, and I thought maybe.
Oh, he said 25 to 30, yeah.
But nobody knows, like.
And that shit changed.
You're calling Rousseau a liar.
No, I'm not. Did he say Coach Lou said 25 to 30?
No, he said he just reported that he's on a minutes restriction.
Yeah.
Law said he thinks it'll be around 25 to 30, and then he ended up playing 24.
So we don't know if he does play against the Spurs. Let's say he only plays 20 minutes because they blow him out. How many minutes he can get to the next night when they might need him for 35 against Houston? Is that going to be on the table? I don't think it would be. I don't think he'd go past 30. So if that's the case, I would take an extra day's rest and worry about rust like in the first quarter, whatever. Maybe Kawhi can figure it out. If we're talking about, oh no, 1 day too many off, like I don't know. I'm not that worried about it, but maybe it just depends on how Kawhi's feeling and what he says.
Yeah. And I guess we'll also know pretty well. I mean, the injury report should come out fairly soonish, right? That'll be out tomorrow.
I just want to have him for 38 or 40 minutes if you need him in that game against Houston. And if he plays the game against San Antonio, I don't think you're getting him for those minutes.
Well, because that's what I was wondering. If the game against San Antonio, like, even if it's like whatever, he ends up only playing 23 minutes because it's like a shit show, the good kind, the professional win shit show, then maybe he plays against Houston. But I wish the scheduling was flipped. I wish it was Houston then San Antonio, because then for sure he'd be playing against the Rockets. But
I think he'll play as long as he came out of this back-to-back good. Like, there's no reason he wouldn't play in both if he does play against San Antonio. It's just how many minutes can he play against Houston then?
Right.
Because it's not going to go like last night's game went against the Dallas Mavericks where he only needed to play 25 because they were destroying them.
Yeah.
The Houston game, you're probably going to need Kawhi for big minutes. So should you play him against San Antonio?
Well, San Antonio has been terrible. They have lost 6 of their last 7. They're minus 91 over this stretch total. The Clippers are a league best, plus 119. So it's different. The Spurs have 122 defensive rating over this span and a 109 offensive rating. They have, things are a little wonky.
Yeah, you want those flipped.
Yeah, and they are not rebounding the ball. They are bottom 10 in every single rebound percentage stat. So this is a team that is built, Adam, as you said, that even if Kawhi can't go, this is a team the Clippers should absolutely light up. This should be a professional win. Haggle, no haggle. Norm getting on a heater is one of the more important things we could take away from this Spurs game.
No haggle. But then again, I want to know, is he getting on a heater next to Kawhi or a heater without Kawhi? Because the issue is fitting in next to Kawhi and Norm still being himself.
Norm being
just a
Norm.
scaled down version.
Yeah, basically scaled down. Will, how are you feeling about this Spurs game? What are you hoping for? Because again, I expect it, and I think most of us do, to be a win. Maybe along the more easier side of the wins as these things go. But it's really kind of their last easy on paper game. Because you obviously have the Rockets the next day, and then you have the Kings and the Warriors to close it out.
Yeah, I mean, this one has to be a professional win, and they have to continue to just take care of business and have those good habits. There would be no excuse to losing to the Spurs team with how the team has been looking right now. The Clippers, that is, I think even a close one would be, I don't want to say inexcusable, but it would give me a little bit of pause. Even
it'd
down
be annoying as hell. Yeah.
To have to claw this one out. A team down, it's 2-3 best rotation players. Come on.
Yeah, and they've been putting together. It's not like they're a team that's down their 3 best rotation guys. You're like, wow, they're still playing pretty hard. There's some things they're doing well. They're not doing anything that they're shooting 35% from 3. That's the best stat I could find.
And it's not even they have a bunch to play for.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not like they're fighting to get into a play-in spot. There's not. Again, no team in the NBA is necessarily easy, but this team, they have no reason to really gut something out. You know what I mean? So go in there, take care of business early, maintain the lead. Let's
drive over to Houston, get some good rest.
Minimal fourth quarter minutes from Harden and Kawhi would be great.
Yeah.
Or Harden, sorry, I'm assuming Kawhi will just play the second game.
That's fair.
I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna. I would just, if you can only play so many minutes the second half of back-to-back and it's 30 or less, and you're taking on Houston, and you're probably going to need him for 38, I just wouldn't play him against San Antonio.
Any potential playoff opponent, why would you mess around with it?
And it goes back to your thing too, Will. Conference wins. Let's get some conference wins.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do we have anything else to say about the Spurs game really before we talk more about the game that matters more, which is the team that the Clippers haven't beaten at all this year?
Let's go Clips.
Does Kawhi want to play against them because he's a former Spur? Is there that type of thing still?
Yeah. Wait. How would you?
Pour it on.
What if Kawhi puts up 70 against the Spurs, but then is benched against the Rockets? How would we feel about that? Just the most unnecessary FU game ever.
Beat them by 60, and then.
Dude,
I know I was traded 7 years ago, but
so long ago.
It's still on.
Yeah, and I am going to kick you when you are quite possibly at your lowest, missing your best players. All right, they play the Rockets. The Rockets are playing the Warriors tonight, so it's go Rockets, because we are hurtling towards a terrifying situation where there's a 5-way tie between a bunch of these teams. Justin Russo's been sick about that on Twitter. Every team going 49-33 or whatever it is.
How did the Clippers fare if there's a 5-way tie?
Let me look it up.
I'm interested.
I think it helps them.
Well, we still don't have tiebreakers over. We only have tiebreakers over the Warriors and the Grizzlies.
Yes.
So yeah, the Timberwolves would still be ahead of us. I still don't know that we could get higher than 6 in that scenario.
Yeah, I think it. Yeah. Hold on, him and Matt. Anyway, yeah, I think we're still 6 in that scenario, because the Lakers have they won the division, which helps. the hardest division in basketball. The Pacific
Naturally.
Division. Those who know, of course.
History of sports.
Yeah. That one year it was really good, except for the Kings fucking it up consistently every single year that I say that the Pac-Div is going to be good. All right, well, I can't find the stat right now, but it is funny that there might be a 5-way tie for this team. The Rockets are playing really good basketball. We're recording this before they're playing the Warriors. They are 8-10 or 8-2 in their last 10 games. They're 5th in net rating. They're only 16th in true shooting percentage. But the Spurs are a bad rebounding team. The Rockets are the best rebounding team in the league right now over their last 10 games. They're 1st in offensive rebound percentage. They're 4th in defensive rebound percentage. Clippers haven't played this team since December.
That low true shooting number, though, is doing a lot to bolster those offensive rebounds, I'm sure.
Very true. Clippers haven't played them since December, so we didn't have the new bench. And the last time we played them, I think KPJ started and Amir Coffey. So it was going to be a loss. How are we feeling heading into this one? I feel a lot better now that Kawhi's going to maybe play against them.
Yeah, I don't know. I got this feeling like he's going to play both, and I don't know. But the Houston Rockets, their struggle this season was supposed to be on the offensive end, and it was at first. But the last 15 games now, they're 2nd in offensive rating. So they have an elite defense, and like the Clippers, they've turned things around on the offensive end now. They didn't get a Kawhi Leonard back, but they just kind of matured, and Şengün and Jalen Green have played better next to each other. Amen Thompson, the second half of the season, has been awesome for them. Jabari Smith Jr. is back now. So they're scary. Like, as much as I would prefer to play them over Denver, the Lakers, it's getting closer. Like, I don't love the Houston matchup.
And Denver is in a mini spiral right now.
Donovan, yeah, I mean, or not Donovan. Their defense is bad. LA Clippers film was tweeting about this. He was like, no one on the Nuggets is checking James Harden.
Yeah,
this is not that
defense.
This is not that Nuggets team. This is not that Nuggets team that it was when they won a championship and when they've been terrifying before.
Michael Malone said
Mike
that Jamal
Malone
Murray.
Sorry, Chuck.
No, I think we're about to say the same thing. Hopefully he's back by the playoffs about Jamal Murray. So I want the Nuggets more than any other team now, because that is not a team. Well, I think someone was tweeting out how many games have they lost this year where Jokic has put up 50? They've lost 6 games this year where he's put up 50 points. That's not a
Jokic
good
average 50.
Yeah, exactly. But
only 5 assists.
Yeah, 100%.
That's the recipe.
And we will learn more, right, about how this Clippers team, because now we got the new look bench, Bogey, Simmons, Batum, and Derek Jones Jr., if we have the full roster with Kawhi playing, we get to see a lot better bench than we saw any of the other 3 games versus Houston this season, in terms of how guys are playing currently, fit and chemistry and all that stuff. It's a much different Clippers bench that the very good Rockets bench is going to have to defend.
Bogey.
That's all I got. I got one word of analysis, baby. Bogey.
My guy's shooting 50% from 3 the last 21 games. It's pretty incredible.
He's killing it. The bogey playoff game is going to be awesome, because there's going to be a bogey playoff game.
I think he can flip a series, honestly. I said that when they got him. I'm that high on Bogey. I think he can flip a playoff series for you.
Yeah.
So sorry, I don't mean to sidetrack this, but
Sidetrack it.
Is the more favorable matchup just playing the Grizzlies in a play-in game, taking the Rockets, and then you would face, if you get out of that series, and again, as Adam was saying, the Rockets are getting scarier, but then you could potentially, in the second round.
See, this is some Charles. I was getting shit for
man
second round the other day.
You're still probably taking on the Lakers, I guess.
Right. The the West is insane. I know we say this every year, but the second round is difficult no matter what. Like it's not like the East where it's like you were saying, well, like the Heat get these paths sometimes where you're like, congrats, now you have to play real basketball. Or like when the Blazers made it to that Western Conference Finals.
I mean, I feel like whoever's getting the winner of the 4-5 matchup as currently constructed, getting either Nuggets or Warriors, I feel like that's a pretty good roll.
So do we want the Nuggets to catch the Lakers right now and be in the 3 spot?
That would be ideal.
100%.
That would be ideal.
If your best option is getting Jokic in the first round, it's like it's a bloodbath.
And Russ, which if people have been noticing, the poor beat writers for the Nuggets who did sell themselves out for the Russ fans to begin this season are now having to deal with the fact that if you say anything remotely bad or negative, honest about Russell Westbrook's performance, you are thrown under the bus. So first of all, this is what you get. You're sowing what you reaped or whatever.
And
yeah, anyway.
I mean, if I have the choice between 2 difficult teams to face in the playoffs, I am 10 times picking the one that also has Russell Westbrook as a significant contributor in the rotation. Come on! Like, look at the track record.
You're not wrong. And look how it's been trending the last week and a half or whatever. Like,
there's an entire body of work there, and it just is pretty favorable to opponents.
I think he's been out of the first round 2 times once without Kevin Durant, and that was in the bubble next to James Harden with the Rockets.
When he was yelling, when they made that great edit of him, even though he wasn't yelling at the small children, the bubble edit. It cuts to the kids.
I don't. Yeah, I still worry. There's going to be a Russ game where he nukes you somehow from 3. Like, it sure feels like that's coming.
Don't care.
But there's 3 other games in the series that he has to play minimum.
I wonder if Mike Malone at some point, given what has occurred at the end of the season, because I don't think Coach Lue got nearly enough love for how often he wouldn't play Russ late in fourth quarters over the last 2 years.
Oh, I also think it seems pretty difficult to communicate to Russ that he will not be playing significant minutes based on some of the things that have
it seems like you essentially have to completely take him out of the lineup if you intend to not close with him.
So Nuggets.
Or things get shitty. It's Nuggets. Absolutely.
Do you want Nuggets more than Rockets?
Well, as of 5:52 p.m.
Can Kawhi be the best player in the series?
That's the thing.
Like, do you think that Kawhi? I mean, I meant against the Nuggets, but
yes,
I think Jokic is the one guy where you can definitely. I mean, based upon track record, he's a 3-time regular season MVP, a more recent Finals MVP. They won in the bubble against Kawhi. I think you have to at least give the nod to Jokic going into the series. I'm not saying Kawhi can't, but I think Jokic. But then, how about favorite.
Oh, for sure.
Jokic is number 1. Who's 2, 3, 4? Kawhi, James, who?
It might. Tell me, is Jamal Murray playing? Playoff Jamal Murray is also very different against LA teams.
Yeah.
Very scary.
But if he's not going to be 100%, it doesn't sound like he'll even be 100% because, and again, this is off the one quote, maybe hopefully he's back for the playoffs. So it's like, damn, what's that first round going to look like?
So the Nuggets this is who they have left on their schedule. If you're rooting for Denver to move up into the 3 spot in case the Clippers get the 6 spot, they're playing the Pacers tonight at home. They're currently up by 9 first half. They're in Sacramento. Then they host the Memphis Grizzlies.
Damn.
And then the final game of the season, they're in Houston against the Rockets. The Rockets, there's a chance they might not have anything to play for.
Yeah, that's
because
true.
They might be locked in with the 2 seed.
Just rest everybody, yeah.
That might mean the Clippers beat them for them not to have anything to play for, and the Warriors beat them tonight.
mean, the Rockets are mighty close to being done. They got, I think, 3 games up on the Lakers.
And they have 1 game left against them. That's the other part of it. And I think whoever wins that game would have the tiebreaker between the Lakers and Rockets.
Yeah, the Lakers' second to last game is Rockets. And then the Lakers play the Trailblazers the last day of the year.
Where's that at?
Portland.
I don't hate that.
The Moda Center. Rocking at 12:30.
Had issues up in Portland.
All right, back to this Rockets game. I guess this is back to both games. Who was our player of the back-to-backs pick? Who did we all pick for the last game? I picked Batum. He did okay. I think all of our picks did pretty good because no one played poorly against the Mavs. Except for Norm, but we can't pick him.
I had Bogey. He was pretty hot Friday night. Didn't take many shots yesterday.
Will, who'd you pick?
I had DJJ.
Pretty sweet reverse dunk off the alley-oop.
That was nasty. And took a crazy – was that Norm or Derek? Both of them took crazy knocks.
Yeah.
Yesterday. That Norm one, dude, when he got kneed in the knee and they showed the replay, holy fuck. Anyway, forget all of that. So we were 3 for 3 on the picks. Well done, fellas. Adam, who's your pick for player of the back-to-back?
I will go with – give me Nico this time. I'll take Nico Batum.
Okay. I like that.
Never go wrong with Nico. He's almost always a plus.
Very difficult, yeah. Will, your player of the back-to-back pick?
I'll go for Adam's guy. I'll go for Bogey.
How dare you? I was gonna take him before.
It'll be fun to watch him.
You had first choice.
It'll be fun to watch him against Houston and what Ty Lue can do with a more versatile bench now. I'm going Ben Simmons for basically the exact same reason because I want to see how he is used. I feel like we're all kind of putting the Spurs game as a bit of a wash. Ben Simmons against a team with as much athleticism and length on the defensive end and aggressiveness as the Rockets is interesting to me because we're going to see the defense the Rockets play is very good, and that's very close to what we're going to see in terms of playoff intensity defense. Like in terms of some of the best we're going to see before the end of the season is going to be that Rockets team.
To be honest, Ben has not been as good recently as how he started.
Right. No, so it's like, can he get back into some better form? I think that about wraps up unless anyone has anything else to say about the final back-to-back of the Clippers 24-25 season.
Go Rockets tonight. Go Nuggets.
There we go. Perfect. All right. We are going to have a full episode out on Thursday. We're all going to be at the game on Wednesday, so that's going to be fun. If you see us, come say what's up. Will, where can these people, now that the week has started, they have to go back to work tomorrow, where can they tell their coworkers that they must listen to us when answering what they did this weekend? Where could they do that?
Yeah, you can tell your coworkers to listen to us wherever they get their podcasts. If they happen to listen over on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, leave a little rating and review. It always helps us out. But your coworkers who are really in the know should be checking us out over on youtube.com/@ClippersPodcast. Subscribe over there. Hit the little bell so you can get notified when we come out with new stuff. You can comment on every video. It's a good time. So come through on that. But however you listen or watch this show, we appreciate you.
We absolutely do. Always wonderful getting the full crew together. Adam, before we send these wonderful folks out for a quasi-stressful week of basketball, one positive thing for Clippers fans.
Hey, I got something. Kawhi doesn't watch ESPN.
Hey, okay, yeah.
The GOAT doesn't watch and has no idea what Lisa Zubac was doing with that press tour.
That was so funny. Yeah, he's like, I had no idea he was on ESPN. I was like, cool, man.
I know he's a basketball player and he's good, and he was like trying to put together, I don't know what the topics were.
He's too locked in, dude. He's too locked in to be watching TV.
I love Kawhi so much.
You're texting him that right now. All right, we will see y'all later. Here's to a good week. And as always, let's go Clips.